running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will. And ladies and gentlemen, it is our segment of Our Take. And joining me in about 15 minutes will be Adrian Rainey of the Rainy Day Podcast and my co-host of the Florida Cats Dirty Rats Podcast, officially on the FTSN Sports Network and also on 305 Sports Now. Yes, it is a collaboration. Hockey season is almost here. And time flies, doesn't it? Since the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. But ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It is right now we are discussing, which is going to be Miami versus Florida State. Yes, is it Miami versus Florida State showdown in Tallahassee on ABC, 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night. And it is FSU Hate Week. Social media has been abuzz with all the conversation, with all the memes, all the X highlights or highlights in general, conversations of players of how they feel about this rivalry and how epic it is. We were expected to see an undefeated showdown between the two teams and the first top 10 matchup between the two football teams in a long time, it seems like. I can't remember the last time Florida State was in the top 10 when they faced the Canes and vice versa. But the bottom line is, though, that Florida State was upset by Virginia. Let me tell you something. I knew it was going to be a much closer game than expected, but I never expected Virginia to come in there, bully the Noles. Okay, actually, well, Florida State went over there, and Florida State got bullied, and bullied they did, and Virginia comes up with the win in overtime in a very sensational fashion, as it was just an amazing turn-up as Florida State goes down in two overtimes by a score of 46-38 in front of 50,107 people in Charlottesville, Virginia. Let me tell you, this game was absolutely amazing to watch. It was very interesting, and I think it exposed a little bit of Florida State, or Florida State might have been looking ahead when they in the upcoming matchup against Miami. But statistically speaking, man, it was quite a show. As first downs, Florida State, not by much, lost 24-27. Total yards, the Noles did have 514 yards of total offense, and Virginia had 440. Passing yards, it was 258 for the Noles, 229 for Virginia. Running the football, Florida State dominated as well. 256 yards running the football. Virginia, 211 yards, 5.3 yards per carry for the Noles, 4.4 yards per carry for the Cavaliers. But what really, really was an issue was the fact that it was a turnover ball and the untimely turnovers for Florida State. Now, it was 3 turnovers per team, but I do think that Florida State's were a little bit more costly during the duration of the game, comparable that to what was for Virginia. But Castellanos throws 2 picks in the game. Chambliss throws 3 as well. Florida State has 1 fumble in the game. It wasn't a bad game as far as penalty goes. Only 9 penalties combined, as the Noles had 5 and they lost 49 yards in the process, and Virginia had 4 penalties with 25 yards lost in the process as well. So I will talk a little bit about the game and speak a little bit about it, to say the least. And joining me is my co-host. Yes, my co-host from the I Hate Football podcast. You guys know him as Q, the everyday man, everybody's favorite firefighter. What's up, brother? How's it going?
What's up, big boy? How are you, man?
Good, man. Good, man. I'm excited. I am hyped, and I am ready for Saturday, man. How about yourself?
Bro, couldn't be more ready, brother. Couldn't be more ready. Really, counting down the week, man. I was happy to see, Florida State kind of, wet the bed in Charlottesville the other day. Definitely not one of these people who, was rooting for, an undefeated versus undefeated, man. Look, I ain't with all that, man. Look, if you know me, you know what I'm about. You know who I rooted for from day one, and who I root against every single Saturday of every single college football week. I wasn't rooting for undefeated versus undefeated. So I'm happy that we're going into it with them having coming off a loss. Who would you put on Deuce Robinson? B. Savage.
Wait, let's wait on that one. Beast, you gotta watch, man. You gotta watch because we will be going over that. All right, we're doing Virginia first, Noles. But if you stay on,
I almost answered.
Yeah, man. I know that's our habit, but I'm like, wait, let's let them wait a little bit, okay? Let's let them wait a little bit. Yeah, so that we're doing Virginia and FSU first, and then we'll break down the team and who we would put on Deuce Robinson, man, who's been actually playing really good football, man. I will say that the young man is an absolute beast. Yeah, he did.
Hell of a game against Virginia. The only dude that really did anything against Virginia, if we're being 100%, Mekhi Danzy, Wayne McCoy, I think had a couple catches, but Deuce Robinson was literally the passing game. So
yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Deuce Robinson had 9 catches, 147 yards, and 1 touchdown. Yeah. So it was, he was a baller, man. Huh?
Should have had 2. He bobbled that one at the end of the game. I mean, he should have had it, but hey, that's how it goes.
No, he totally should have had it. I mean, he really. I thought he was going to regain control, but he juggled that ball a little bit more than I thought he needed to.
He juggled it for 10 yards, bro.
Yeah, he did.
He juggled the ball for 10 yards, bro. Come on, man. What are you doing, man?
I know, man. I know.
He should have had it. So.
I know, man. And as far as running backs go, man, Sawchuk had a pretty decent game, except for that 1 fumble, 17 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown as well. Florida State did run the ball well. I will give him credit.
Usman Chroma, he had a decent game too. I don't remember his numbers, but I think he
12 for 63. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I co-piloted the whole episode, bro.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yourself co-pilot.
I was over here slacking, bro. The Niners just went to halftime against the Rams, man. So I was kind of catching the very end of the first half on that one. So I had already hung out with Russ.
Okay.
At 7, we did an episode. So finished up there, watched a little bit of the Niners game, got a little dinner, and
that's good, man.
So
that's
bro, really good to see you, brother. Good to see you, man. We haven't gotten up in a few weeks, man. So
I know, man. I know. It's been interesting, man. But I took a except for Flo show because he invited me after the Florida game. I took a bit of a hiatus for a couple weeks.
Take a break, man. Got to take a break.
Yeah,
often, man.
That's pretty much what happened.
Got to get away, man, and do a little something different, and just get away and then come back refreshed and ready to go, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. But thank you, man, for coming on, man. I know this is our segment, man. It's what we do, so it's always a good time. Talk a little football with you.
Oh yeah.
Let me going back a little bit at Florida State's defense. Although they gave up 46 points, man, they had some dogs in that game, man. Everyone talks about Earl Little getting run over because he didn't wrap up, but he had 13 tackles in the game as well. Rawls had 11 tackles for 1 pick, and Barker had 2 sacks as well. So. It's kind of interesting because some of these individually, some of these guys had really good numbers, but the score, if you really watch the game in the eye test, I thought they were dominated. They were completely dominated by Virginia on the offensive side of the ball. I thought the defense looked very sluggish against the Cavaliers.
The numbers Virginia had put up, coming into that game were impressive. I just think it was Virginia, so a lot of people really weren't paying any mind to them in terms of what they had done coming into that game, but they weren't slouches coming into that game.
No,
I mean they had a good offensive season, and it continued against Florida State. Right, when you look at what they did on the ground, impressive. Right, 211 yards on the ground, which if you're twofold on that one, right? I mean, when you're looking at what they did on the ground, I think it was impressive. For on the Virginia side of things, worrisome for Florida State when you're looking at what they have coming up on Saturday against the Canes. So. Man, again, I think all around you're looking at, Chandler Morris went at 26 for 35, if I'm not mistaken. So, really efficient day, really good through the air, really good on the ground. And, for all the hype that this 3-3-5 defense, was getting for Florida State, I was a little bit surprised, man, that they gave up what they gave up, not only through the air, but on the ground also, considering the fact that, Virginia was missing, I know, at least one starter, depending on, how you're looking at it in terms of the way the snaps break up and everything like that. They were missing three offensive linemen total, minimum one starter, but also 2 guys that were, in their rotation in terms of the offensive line. So, even more impressive when you consider, those factors. But, really good game by Florida State, man. Or I'm sorry, by Virginia. Really good game plan, by that staff, by Tony Elliott and Chandler Morris. Man, like I said, Chandler Morris looked really good, and they beat Florida State, and now they're ranked. So I mean, really, if you look at that, if you look at what Virginia's done throughout the year, really they should be undefeated. If was it they lost to NC State, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe, so I mean, again, they easily could be undefeated. So kudos to Tony Elliott and that staff. Man, they're really good in the transfer portal. They landed actually Emmanuel Carnley, who was with the Canes in the spring, transferred out, like that, had a cup of coffee in Coral Gables, but again, man, kudos to them, man. They looked really good in leading Florida State the other day. Again, the offense, definitely looked good. They moved the ball through the air and on the ground, and again, doesn't bode well for Florida State when you look at who's coming to town on Saturday.
No, absolutely. Lou, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We take good
So,
pride in our backdrops. And Beast, I agree with you. Chandler Moore is a really good quarterback. If he limits the turnovers, and he could be an NFL backup QB. Yeah, I agree. I think the ACC this year has really good quarterback play, and they've had good quarterback play. I would say the last 3-4 seasons. It just gets overshadowed because everybody pays attention to the Big Ten and the SEC all the time. But I think the ACC has really proven that they have some quality quarterbacks.
Got some good quarterbacks. I think it's funny. I was having that conversation with Russ, a little while ago. And when you're, before the season started, this really long list of quarterbacks that they're talking about, at the very top of the draft and everything like that in 26. And we're, fast forward now, we're looking at, most teams have played, at least 4 games. Some teams have played 5. But now you're really starting to see kind of the separation in these quarterbacks. And it's funny because some of these quarterbacks that were really, really hyped before the season started really haven't lived up to the billing, right? Start with Arch Manning at Texas, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, all these quarterbacks that, Darian Mensah. Dude, Duke is paying Darian Mensah $4 million. Listen, for anybody who hasn't seen it, like Duke was very, very upfront and open about what they did with Darian Mensah. Like Darian Mensah, like the portal opened and they announced it like the day after. Yep. They were like, hey, Darian Mensah is going to Duke, and I mean the school put it out. Like it's rare this, schools put out, dollar figures, and they were very open. They were like 2 years, $8 million. And when you're looking at what it is that guy's done, not only has Duke been ass, and pardon my French, but they lost to Tulane, which Darian Mensah transferred from, right? So just one of the many quarterbacks when you're looking at the season so far that haven't lived up to the billing, right? Let's say Cade Klubnik, right at the very top of that list, a guy who I was very vocal about before the season started, and I said, yo, they're way, way overrating that guy. Cade Klubnik is not that good. When you look at what that guy has done against teams that are good, right, it hasn't been good, right? He feasts on the not great teams, and when he plays good teams, he's not good, right? And then you look at him this season, a guy who should have no excuses when you consider what he's got protecting him, what he's got on the outside, everything. That obviously running game not great, but again, a team that's talented, but again, a guy that you expected so much from, based on last season and kind of coming into this season. But you're really starting to see those quarterbacks really separate themselves. Fernando Mendoza, right? Carson Beck, quarterbacks like that. Dante Moore at Oregon. But you're really starting to see these teams with the good quarterbacks are really the ones that are, Ohio State, Julian Sain is kind of elevating his game. Ty Simpson at Alabama, so on and so forth. So these quarterbacks these teams with the quarterbacks are really, are the ones that now at this point of the season are really kind of starting to slowly raise their stock and separate themselves from everybody else.
Yeah, to answer your question, Beast, I think Vandy could upset Alabama. Alabama's playing really well right now, but I do think Vandy's capable of upsetting Alabama.
Can they? Yeah. Will they?
That's a different story.
I don't think that happens this year, bro. I don't think they're sneaking up on Alabama this year. I think Alabama, the way they looked right after that win against against Georgia, I don't see them slipping up. I think they're going to be really prepared for Vanderbilt, and I think Vanderbilt totes one on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's a well-coached football team. I like their quarterback as well. He's gutsy. He's athletic. He makes the right decisions. I really do think that they have a good chance. But I will say this. I think the FSU game was an anomaly. I think they thought they're going to run over Florida State. And the first drive of that game, that's what it looked like. Because, I mean, they put on a clinic. And then Florida State just caught them off guard. They were a doke. And I think that we're starting to see who Alabama really could be, especially after the victory against Georgia. So that's where I think I'm at. Going back to
Lou, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. There's good people, man.
Yeah,
good people.
man. Oh yeah. Oh my God, Lou, man.
Really
Lou,
quickly, Q.
Shouts out you and your bride, brother. Hope you guys are doing good, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome. No, of course. Yeah, Ashley, of course. They have the nice podcast, the SoFlo, the SoFlo podcast as well. They have the travel company as well. But going back a little bit to we mentioned the quarterbacks Q. Going back to DJ Lagaway as well. I thought they overhyped Lagaway big time, and I always thought Drew Aller was a little overrated. Like, what do you think about what I just said?
Listen. To continue on kind of the same thing. Lou, appreciate you, man. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe button, guys. We definitely would appreciate it. Listen, again, to go back to that same conversation, there was all this hype around these dudes, and I get what websites, I get what ESPN does, I get what, whether it's The Athletic, Fox. Listen, look, I get that quarterbacks kind of they kind of drive the hype machine. I get that they are the straws that stir the drink when it comes to their particular teams, their particular conferences, and all that. Totally get it. Totally understand it. I don't push back on that one single bit. It's the same thing in the end, right? NFL, college, I get it. But I think a lot of people got ahead of themselves, right? Immediately anointing, DJ Lagway, immediately anointing Arch Manning, immediately, hyping Nussmeier. He's going to be the first pick in the draft. When you look at the guy, an ordinary athlete, ordinary arm, right? He's accurate, but again, look at what's happened this year. Look at all these quarterbacks that we've hyped, all these quarterbacks. And again, they've been around, right? Nussmeier isn't a freshman, right? Aller, Klubnik, Lagway is a sophomore, Darian Mensah getting paid all this money, right? But again, look at what's happened, right? The quarterbacks that really hadn't gotten the hype, right? Your Fernando Mendoza's, your Dante Moore's, the freshman at Cal, whose name I don't recall right off the top of my head, but I mean Polynesian kid, lefty, been really, really good, best true freshman quarterback in the country. Guy at Carson Beck who's been really steady, really good, and so again, man, we create these narratives and we create these stories for hypes and for clicks and everything like that. But just like anything, man, time will tell. The cream rises to the top, and now we're really seeing the separation of, listen, who really warrants the hype and the attention. And some of these guys now who are looking, man, they were trying to shove Drew Aller down everybody's throat the entire preseason. All right, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, holding. Look at these guys. Oh, they've been ordinary. They've been really, really ordinary, right? And not that Carson Beck has set the world on fire, but when you look at what it is Carson Beck has done, he's played Notre Dame, one of the best defenses in the country, Florida, one of the best defenses in the country, USF, who was a good defense, right, when they played him, and obviously Bethune-Cookman, right? And also add to that he's played in the elements all 4 games. So kind of going to limit what it is, that he's been able to do in terms of numbers. But I think now when you start playing, kind of the back end of the schedule, maybe get into some good
Adrian.
He is here.
What up, dog? What's going on, bro?
My bad. Sorry I'm late, man. I had
now
to
you're
drop
good, man. You're good.
off, caught every red light on the way back.
Nah, but you're good. You're good. Everybody, let me welcome our special guest. We always bring a special guest on the show. Is Adrian Rainey of the Rainey Day podcast. First time on 305 Sports Now, man. I was totally shocked, man, when he told me a couple weeks ago.
That is surprising. That is
I know, man. He's been on my show a few times. I was like, "Where's the invite, bro?"
All right, bro. Hold on. You had me on for 5 minutes to talk about Hulk Hogan, and then the one Kane episode.
5 minutes.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, and then of course the Kane stuff. So yeah, man. So Adrian, to catch you up a little bit. Oh, by the way, Juan, we love you, man. We're gonna get to your question and your comments and Beast as well. 100%. Yeah, when we get to the FSU Miami segment, which will be after the break. Was that Adrian?
Hit that like button. Everybody else, hit that like button, please, man. Support the boy.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
To I Hate Football podcast. Make sure y'all go subscribe, man. Let's go.
Get
the boys in the house.
College Blitz also. College Blitz.
Got a fan, brother.
Yeah. Russ with the new haircut. Oh man,
bro, did you see my guy, bro? Cleaning up and everything,
you,
man.
Clean.
Bro. Get ready, I think, for some interviews or something like that. So I almost didn't recognize him when he got on camera today, man. So
I trolled him the other day. I trolled him after the Dolphins Jets game a little bit. I go, I'm just happy you're a Yankees fan.
That's where you guys can agree on, right? That's what you guys can agree
definitely,
on,
man. He's good people though. I'm actually before we go on break and break down Miami versus Florida State. I'm actually thinking about for the first time doing a Marlins segment on the show because he's such a good asset because he was a scout, so he knows the ins and outs of that stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can have him on. And we can do it for the first time ever.
During the baseball draft, that dude was in his bag.
Yeah, he was, man. So I'm thinking about breaking my own rule. and actually talk about the Marlins.
Russ is top notch. My guy, my guy Tony from Talking Game, man. You got to get him on talk if you want to talk baseball. That dude
for sure
knows his shit for real.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Lids, forgive Adrian. Forgive Adrian, Lids. Okay, forgive Adrian.
I went TVMA.
Yes. All right, guys, we'll be right back. Okay, we're just gonna get a quick word from our sponsor, Fan. There we go. Now I set it up. Now, Fan Outfitters. Ooh, Miami! I am proud to announce that Fan Outfitters is the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. With locations in Pembroke Pines, Davie, and Kendall, you can find the latest gear and accessories for all your favorite South Florida teams. Teams like your Miami Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, and many, many more. So if you ever find yourself in the Pembroke Pines area, Davie, or Kendall, please stop by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, if you're ever in the Kendall area, Pembroke Pines area, or Davie area, please pass by Fan Outfitters. You can find your best selection in Miami Hurricanes gear, Miami Dolphins gear, Miami Heat gear, Miami Marlins gear, and gear from all other teams as well. And, of course, accessories as well. So please pass by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. All right, Adrian, before we jump into the Miami Hurricanes, I want you to give your take on how you felt about Virginia's upset over Florida State.
I mean, it was beautiful, really. I enjoyed it. You know, when you hate watching another team because they were the game on that night. Oh man, it was beautiful. I loved everything about it. Florida State, man, their defense is trash, to be honest, man. They not really that good. If they're about to play a real team this Saturday, so we're gonna find out. You know, just what we saw against Virginia, that their defense is nothing. So we're going to run all up and down the field on them, pass all up and down the field, do what we want. That's what's going to happen, man. It was nice to see, though. They kind of messed up, though, because we could have got game day again. And then, but, you know, Florida State doing Florida State things.
Yeah, so jumping into, I basically created a sheet for tonight's show, a breakdown of Miami versus Florida State. And I do, before I mention what I'm going to be talking about, is the fact of the matter is that I do think it's a little skewed because Miami has played better competition than Florida State has. Let me just put this on stage quickly, can I? Yeah, here we go. So Miami has played much better competition against better teams. I put USF over East Texas A&M, my personal opinion. But the way it lines up is FSU's averaging about 53 points per game. Again, I think those numbers are inflated because they played a couple teams there that couldn't beat my high school team where I teach at.
Kent State, East Texas A&M, come on. You know,
exactly. Even though,
so perspective, you know what I mean? Like, no
absolutely.
Those guys, but come on.
No. So Miami, they've scored 53 points. Miami 36.8 rushing. 336 yards. Miami's 180. Listen, Miami's looked more impressive running the football than Florida State against their respective opponents as well. Florida State has 29 touchdowns and Miami has 19 as well. But interesting enough, Miami does have more passing yards per game than FSU. FSU's prides itself of being a bit more balanced in some aspects as far as running the football and passing. But I really Castellanos fits well in the, I would say, in Gus Malzahn's system. But I do think that Castellanos could be rattled quite a bit. What do you think, Rainey?
Yeah, definitely. And we're gonna get after him for sure.
Yeah.
Defensive line is a strength of ours, so I definitely think we're gonna rattle them, force them into some turnovers. Were you guys surprised that Florida State was ranked that high before they lost?
For me personally, I think the Alabama win, just carried so much weight. You know how it goes, man. It's Alabama, But and listen, and I got into that. I was saying that on the last podcast that I had earlier today, man. Is my brother's a big Florida State fan, and he kind of got on my case for essentially like, giving Alabama a pass because it was game one, but. I think there's something to be said with this style of offense, right? It's not a traditional style of offense. You're on the road, game one of the season versus Florida State. There was no tape of Castellanos in a Florida State jersey. There was no tape of Gus Malzahn as OC. And, and they just kind of caught, they caught Alabama flat-footed. They caught Alabama unprepared, whatever you want to call it. And listen, I'm not making excuses for Alabama. Florida State, won that game fair and square. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like a last-second missed field goal. I mean, they dominated that game, from opening whistle to when the clock hit zero. So they were more prepared. They were the better team. They ran the ball better, and the whole Ty Simpson wasn't great, and everything like that. But there again, I think they're a little bit overranked in my opinion. I think they're a good team. But I definitely don't think they deserve to be like in the top 10 when you look at their resume and what they had done to that point.
Yeah, I actually thought that Virginia was going to give them a bit of competition. I didn't expect them to win that game, though. I thought they win by at least 10 points. But I was quite surprised that they gave 46, and I know it was double overtime. They gave 46, and they got bullied the way they were bullied, which doesn't fare very well for them this upcoming Saturday, as Miami's ran the ball and leaned on teams that are much better than Florida State. On both sides of the ball, because Florida's offense sucks.
And listen, let's not the same way we're not. I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick, but the same way we're talking about Florida State versus Alabama and them not being a fluke. Let's not pretend like this Virginia a win was a fluke. They were very balanced and very good. They moved the ball on the ground. They moved the ball through the air. I mean, they put up 46 points. I mean, this was a complete game by that offense. This was an offense that Florida State did not stop, right? I mean, again, 211 yards on the ground. I don't know. I can't remember what it is they passed for.
I got you.
Morris, look it up real quick, but I think he was 26 for 35. You know what I mean? So let's not pretend like this wasn't a complete, and just a very balanced type of attack by Virginia that Florida State just could not stop. So, listen, again, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I think that bodes really well for Miami and what it is they want to do, on Saturday. Again, give them no conditions. I think there's like a 10% chance of rain or something, but you give them a dry track, and the benefits of what that's going to bring. Listen, man, I just don't see them, having I don't see Florida State having a good game on the line of scrimmage against Miami.
I will say this, like Virginia bullied Florida State. Like they literally bullied Florida State. And when I saw what they were doing to Florida State, I'm like, Miami's going to have their way with this defensive line. And one thing, like I was speaking with our football coach, the former football coach at our school who won 6 state championships, Coach Gross, big shout out if he's watching. He basically said that Florida State, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't him. It was a guy who actually played football at a collegiate level. But he did mention as well. And he said that the problem is that Florida State, they have good players, but they don't have that player that stands out on defense. Like they have Patrick Payton, that was a pretty good pass rusher. I know you have Earl Little. LSU. I know. I'm saying like last year they had Patrick Payton.
Oh, I got you.
LSU. Yeah. Earl Little. Earl Little's has been a standout, but I'm talking about that front four. They really don't have that guy. I mean, they really don't. And I think
Darryl
that
Jackson,
we saw that.
Who was at Miami, who's their best defensive lineman right now.
Yeah, and that's where I
but
think that is, but they got manhandled. They got completely manhandled by Virginia, and that's where I think that we're gonna see on Saturday. Adrian, what's your take?
Yeah, I think domination at the line of scrimmage for sure. I'll give it to Florida State though. They can score. They can definitely score, but their defense is not going to be able to hold up with Miami, man. We're gonna, like you said, you thought Virginia bullied them. Miami's about to take them. You know what I'm saying? Out back and put two in the head. For real, they're just gonna finish them off, bro. For real, I don't see any way that Florida State wins this game at all.
Yeah, I think you'll see some trick plays from them, but that's a sign that you think your opponent is inferior to you when they have to go to the bag to take you out.
Desperate.
And the thing is too, again, what Alabama didn't have the benefit of, right, is having tape, right? We're now this far into the season, and we're looking at what Florida State's put on tape. At this point, there should be no surprises. We know what Florida State is, right? We know they win, with essentially smoke and mirrors. I'm not saying that they're not a good offense, right? Clearly, up until I think they still may have the number one offense, in the country in terms of scoring offense. Obviously, they feasted on Kent State and Texas A&M. Kent State, I think, had lost like 14 of their last 15 games against FBS teams, right? So, I mean, again, there should be no real pounding, their chest about, those wins. But, you're looking at, you're looking at how these teams compare. And, I say there's no way they can win. I would say that just based on the fact that, again, it's an offense that can be tricky.
Yeah.
Right. They create some mismatches. They put people in space, force your DBs and your linebackers to tackle and everything like that. But the way Miami's D-line has been playing, the way they've been penetrating, and that's the enemy. The enemy of an offense like Florida State is penetration, right? And so when you're looking at what it is that Miami's D-line does, is they get up the field, they create disruption, and when you disrupt this offense, then they're going to have a problem, because again, they don't line up hat on a hat and dominate you. Right, they win with against.
Let's not forget how good we're tackling this year too.
Exactly.
So.
They're not only they're getting in the backfield, they're tackles for loss. They're tackling really well, limiting big plays, and there again, right, when you're looking at their receivers, right, we know what the run game can do, right. When we're looking at the receivers, and to go back to, was it Beast? I think he's the one that asked the question, and we're looking at Deuce Robinson.
Yep.
Listen,
I'm gonna go into that.
Xavier Lucas would like a word. Right. And so, if listen, I get Deuce Robinson is, I think he's like 6'6". He was manhandling, the corners at Virginia. Xavier Lucas is 6'2", over 200 pounds. And I think I like the matchup, even with Deuce Robinson being, having the height advantage. I like Xavier Lucas lining up on him. You maybe bracket Xavier Lucas, or I'm sorry, Deuce Robinson, with a safety up top or something. And you just kind of limit what it is they do in the passing game. The passing game isn't impressive. Again, outside of Deuce Robinson, they really haven't done, a whole bunch when you look at the numbers and everything. Even with the beatdowns that they've given out, the passing game hasn't been impressive. And so again, I don't see them getting on track against Miami. Like, you're not going to right your wrongs on offense against Miami on Saturday. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. So. Again, do I think they have a chance? Yes. Do I see a way that they could win? Right. But yes, but it would be Miami
collapse by the defense, man.
Exactly. It would be Miami coming in unprepared, unfocused, being caught flat-footed. And I just think at this point, with what you've seen from Miami, with what Florida State has put on tape, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. Going back to Juan's message, I don't want to ignore it. My take on this, and then both of you guys could chime in as well, is that if he's questionable, has a practice all week, and if it's a bad shoulder, I don't see him playing. It's a very important game, and you need your shoulder as a safety, because that's how you tackle.
Yeah,
so I don't see Barker playing.
Yeah, man. At this point, when you consider the fact that he hasn't practiced all week, I just don't know how you put him on the field on Saturday. So
I mean, and if they do, go after him.
Yeah.
Right
Listen,
away.
if that guy gets on the field, guaranteed Shannon Dawson will know exactly where he is. Carson Beck will know exactly where he is, right? So,
dude, man, Mark Fletcher will know exactly where he is.
Mark Fletcher will know where he is. Marty Brown will know where he is, right? When you see, Ines Cooper will know where he is, right? And so, again, man, I just don't see how if you haven't practiced all week, again, with a bum shoulder as a safety, and a running game like you're preparing for, again, I don't see how he plays, to be honest with you. And if he plays, good luck to him.
Yeah, I don't either. Rainey?
No, I don't think he's playing. I mean, but let's hope they put him out there. Go ahead, give him a shot. Give him a shot.
100%.
We're gonna tune him up first play. Yeah, go right after him. That's it.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't see it.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation about Tommy Castellanos, or Castellanos, is really how you really pronounce it. That he could be like a Heisman Trophy candidate. He'd be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I think the Virginia game exposed him, and what the troubles that he had in Boston College were also came to light. Like, basically, if you pressure him and he has to throw off his back foot, he underthrows the ball a lot. So I do think that, at least for me, our defensive ends are gonna have an opportunity to get sacks, so they have an opportunity to force turnovers for the secondary. Starting with Adrian, what do you think about that? What do you think about Tommy in clutch situations last game? He had that nice throw to Pittman, but he did underthrow that ball. I think it was more of a settled play by Pittman than it was actual Castellanos' throw. But what do you think about Tommy, the quarterback, and how he'll fare against our defense? Then we'll start with Adrian, then we'll go to Q.
I think he's all right. He got talent, but this defense, man, like you said, the defensive line. I think Ruben Bain is about to have another phenomenal game for sure. Like, I don't see them even. They might score some points, but I don't see them there. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball like they've been, and them playing those teams that they played. I don't see them passing the ball on us like that, just because the front is going to be after him like sharks, pretty much, with blood in the water. So he's got talent. He's a talented kid, man. But not on Saturday. He won't be he won't look too great on Saturday.
All right, Q.
Yeah, listen, the highest rated player in the United States of America plays for the Miami Hurricane, right? Name is Ruben Bain. Not on defense. The highest rated college football player in the country is Ruben Bain, right? After that, you got Akeem Mesidor playing on the other side. Marquise Lightfoot has been a guy who, if you saw him, he was chasing down DJ Lagway, right? And I get it that if you probably, in a race, Castellanos is probably faster than DJ Lagway, but DJ Lagway is not a slouch, right? Lightfoot when he's gotten his chances, he's taking advantage of them. He's been chasing down quarterbacks that the kid can move, for a defensive end. And so, again, man, when you're looking at, our D line versus their O line, when you're looking at, what it is that Mesidor and Ruben Bain have done, when you look at what it is that Lightfoot has done, when he's gotten his opportunities, again, that's going to be where I feel like Castellanos is going to be a little bit surprised at what Miami's going to throw at him based on the speed that they have on the D line. Again, Ruben Bain has been disruptive. Mesidor has been disruptive. And this is an offense. I'll go back to it. When you are getting in the backfield and you're disrupting this type of offense particularly, I just think it throws everything off. And this is an offense that you want to make sure you get in second and long, third and long. Like, it's important. Win on first down. Because when these guys win on first down, now it's, second and 3, right? Now it's, second and 4, right? It's second and short, third and short, and now they have the advantage. But if you get in the backfield, you disrupt them, you make it second and long, you make it passing downs, now you can unleash that D line, right? And you really have the advantage because, again, I don't think their receivers are the type of receivers that are going to consistently win against Miami's DBs. I don't, there's not much at tight end for them to speak of. Again, I see them, if Miami's D line does what they want to do and what they should do, I see him completing a lot of passes, kind of, some dump offs, some stuff kind of behind the line of scrimmage and everything like that, kind of keeping things in front of them, and so again, man, listen, anything can happen. But given what we've seen so far from both offenses, I just don't see a way where Florida State consistently wins on the line of scrimmage. and consistently puts themselves in advantageous down and distances against that Miami defense.
Yeah, I think as long as Miami sets their edges and can keep Castellanos in a box, I think Miami will be in good shape. And
Yeah,
that's
you gotta keep
yeah.
everything inside, right?
Yeah,
The moment Castellanos gets outside, right, you give him that sideline, man, and he's gonna take one for 30, 40 yards, right? Chroma has, he's looked decent when he's gotten a chance, right? Sawchuk, he's not great, good speed, but same thing, man, with all these guys. This offense depends on getting in space and kind of hitting that sideline, and breaking out the long one. So, keep everything inside, right? Try, don't over pursue, flush them inside and have that Miami speed, taken to the ground when they do break it inside. So again, man, stay disciplined, right? Don't fall for the eye candy and all the movement and everything like that, which again is easier said than done for sure. But again, given the system with Heatherman, the coaching with D-Lou and Jason Taylor, I think these guys are set up to succeed on Saturday.
Yeah, I think physically speaking, we're going to see a very physical game, and that's going to wear on Florida State. If Virginia was physical on defense with the Noles, the ESV concept that Heatherman's been promoting is going to be a nightmare for the Noles as well. Adrian, like what part of the physical game are you looking more forward to? Is it the defensive backs versus the wide receivers, or is it our D line beating up the running backs and Castellanos?
It's definitely the trenches on both sides, offensive line and defensive line. For us, I think they're going to dominate. Florida State, even with the Alabama, I don't think Florida State has played a team like us. So I just think it's going to be, and they're down a running back too, right? Is Williams playing?
I think so.
I'm not sure. I know
sure,
their lead backs this year have been Sawchuk and Chroma, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I'm behind them. I'm not sure. They have a 5-star kid who committed a couple years ago.
Byron Louis, right? Am I correct? No, Byron Louis went to Florida.
No, not him.
Cam. Byron Louis went to Florida. He decommitted from Florida State and went to Florida.
Cam somebody, bro. Big kid. But he hasn't lived up to the 5-star billing. But so far, again, man, their leading rusher, if I'm not mistaken, is Castellanos, right? Or I'm pretty sure he is. And again, I think behind him, against Sawchuk and Chroma have been okay. But listen, everybody knows, man. You watch them play. Castellanos is a straw that stirs a drink, man. If you keep him under wraps, I don't fear him throwing the ball. Again, you're gonna have to show me that somebody outside of Deuce Robinson can hurt you, and when you're looking at the DBs, that Miami has, I think they're equipped to be able to limit Deuce Robinson. Again, I think if you give him enough targets, I think, he's going to put up, a couple big plays, which, is what it is. But again, limit the big plays, make somebody else beat you, and we'll see if you have, that capability. Because again, those guys are young. I mean, I think they're talented. I think LaWayne McCoy is a guy that Miami was recruiting. I think they were after him hot and heavy, and he committed to Florida State. Makai Danzy is a guy who can fly. I think the dude runs like a high 4.2s or low 4.3s or something like that. So again, super talented kid, not a big kid, and I'm sure in time they're going to be good. But I wouldn't want to have to depend on those guys on Saturday against a defense like Miami. So again, you're going to have to show me, if I'm Miami, you're going to have to show me that anybody outside of Deuce Robinson can really do us damage and show us that we have anybody else to worry about.
All right, gentlemen, keys to the game, right? Keys to the game. Who do you think needs to be the most impactful player in this game for Miami to be successful? Start with Adrian, then we'll go to Q, and then we'll go to me. So who do you think is the player that needs to have the biggest impact for the Canes? Adrian?
I think it's got to be Ruben Bain. I mean, and a close second would be Mezzador. It's got to be the defensive line. They got to take control of this game. Just because, Castellanos. He dual threat, man. So you got to keep him contained. If you do that, you win easily.
Yeah. You mentioned on defense. How about offense, Adrian?
I would say Beck, Beck versus their secondary. Probably be pretty good matchup. Just he's got to get the ball to his playmakers, and I think we see more from our tight ends this game too, like more than we've seen during through the season so far. So, but those are my keys, man. Definitely, we're gonna run the ball. We know that. So, I mean, is that really a key to the game? We already know we're gonna run the ball. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When you're looking at the way they match up, man, if you're looking at Miami's defense versus their offense, I think my X factor would be a guy like Mo Torre, just based on what kind of quarterback Tommy Castellanos is, and I would imagine there's going to be some type of spy concepts involved in what it is they're doing, right? Because again, if that guy gets beyond the line of scrimmage, I think he's a problem. So I think a guy like Torre, who is a vet, I think a guy like him who can run, a guy like him who is violent at the point of attack. I think I really am going to focus in on him and see how a guy like Castellanos, man, you have to make him feel you, right? You have to, when you bring him to the ground, man, you have to arrive in a violent way, right? And make him think twice about running the ball. Make him a pocket quarterback, right? And I think a guy like Mo Torre is equipped to do that. Like I said, man, the guy's a veteran. He's been around forever. A guy who can run, and a guy who's basically seen it all, at his age and experience level. So, my kind of X factor, more or less on defense, I think is going to be, Mo Torre. And obviously, again, I think that the DB room in general, right? All those guys are going to have to tackle in space. But Mo Torre for me would be the key for me. And on offense, man, I think it's kind of really easy, it's Carson Beck, and when you look at, the atmosphere, I will say I think too much is being made of certain atmospheres, right? When you look at the Swamp, when you look at Happy Valley, when you're looking at Death Valley, when you're looking at, all these environments, listen, man, at the end of the day, environments don't win a damn thing for you, right? The people in the stands are just that. They're fans and they can make noise, right? And it's up to you to shut that noise down, and again, stay disciplined and do what you got to do to win that game, right? Environments have never won a single game ever, right? And a guy like Carson Beck, right, for whatever importance you're putting on these environments, listen, Carson Beck has seen it all, right? Carson Beck has been, he's been to Tennessee, he's been to Ole Miss, he's been to Bama, he's been to, he's played Florida in the cocktail party, right? He's been in the SEC title game. He's seen it all. So the atmosphere to me, shouldn't be a huge deal. And when you run the ball the way Miami does, right, that's tailor-made to kill an atmosphere, right? And so when you're looking at that, man, listen, as long as he stays composed, as long as they protect him, which I think they will, Florida State's, when you're looking at the way they get after the quarterback, they're not elite at it by any stretch, so it's just we're going to see how it is that they decide to play Miami. Are they going to stack the box? You're going to leave, those guys one-on-one, for Carson Beck, to get the ball to his playmakers, or what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to play zone. I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see how this 3-3-5, decides to play Beck. But again, man, I think on offense, the really easy answer is Carson Beck, man. I think if you give this guy time, he's already proven he can pick you apart. And I think the offensive line at Miami, I think, is going to give him plenty of time to do just that.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think
ask
for me,
Penn State about atmosphere.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, man, they make way too much about this. They do Clemson with their Death Valley, and all these schools. Dude, look at how many of them have lost already, man.
Yeah.
The big house and and all this other stuff. Dude, Notre Dame. Right? Listen, all these teams make a huge deal about their atmosphere and home field advantage. And listen, none of that means anything. Look, when's the last time Oregon hasn't won anything, right? Penn State, when's the last time they won anything? Notre Dame. The 12th man at Texas A&M, they never won anything. The Swamp. Listen, atmospheres mean nothing. Right? You go in there, you do what you got to do, you run the ball, silence the crowd, don't make mistakes, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, absolutely. But for me, it's going to be on offense. I'll start with Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck's a major key because we know that Florida State's going to stack the box because they want to stop the running game. So I think that the Carson Beck, aside from those 2 picks, I think the real Carson Beck we saw was the Carson Beck we saw against USF. He basically dissected that whole entire defense. He found the open man. He was able to get the ball delivered exactly to the receiver he wanted to get it delivered to. It was precise. It was accurate. I think what we saw against Florida was an anomaly. I don't think we'll see that again. So he's going to be very important because I think Miami will get a lot of one-on-ones with the Noles. That's the way they like to play a lot. And I think our receivers, although young, some inexperienced, I do think that they're athletic enough to be able to make plays for this team. Malachi Tony's been an absolute nightmares for defenses this season. Notre Dame's early on against Florida as well, USF, and I think it's gonna be the same thing for Florida State. I think he's gonna be a major key component for Miami. And I agree with you, Adrian. We saw a little bit of what Elijah Lofton could be in the game against Florida. And I do think they'll use him again. I hope they use him again in motion. I think that's where he's going to be best used. He's a mismatch for any linebacker, for any team as well. He was highly recruited out of Bishop Gorman. We're going to see Elijah Lofton have a very solid game as well. And again, what you said it best. Beck's seen it all. Won championship games. He's been to the most hostile environments in the SEC, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. Doak is not going to scare the guy, okay, as well, and he's proven it. He's already won a couple big games already here as a Miami Hurricane, and all he has to do is be good. He doesn't have to be like Cam Moore was great because we have a good enough defense that could shut down the Noles, and we have a running game that will help him out a lot, which he didn't have last season in Georgia. So that's where I think, as far as it goes, I think Beck's very important because if they do find a way to stack the box and try to limit our running game, he's going to have a lot of one-on-ones, and we're going to see the real Carson Beck this upcoming Saturday, with the weather being a lot better in Tallahassee than he's seen here in Miami, his first 4 games. So I'm looking forward to seeing him perform this upcoming Saturday. For me, though, on defense, it is Ruben. Ruben Bain, for me, is the guy on defense. I think that he's going to be the one to pressure Castellanos big time, which is going to help Mesidor eat as well, which is going to help our linebackers as well. Ruben hasn't just been a sack machine, okay, which he doesn't have that many sacks, but it's what he's done outside of chasing the quarterback's been very, very astounding. He's been good at setting his edges. He's been good at stopping the run. He's got an interception. He's tackling guys in space as well, which is why people are saying that he should be at least mentioned for the Heisman Trophy this season. He's already proving the first 4 games of the year, which is a quarter of the season, that he's worthy of being a first-round pick. Size, speed, technique as well, both with his feet, both with his hands as well. The ability to make the top right tackles, have issues, taking them down. So I think it's going to be Ruben. I like Q's pick of Monterrey. I think he's going to be the shadow for Castellanos. The guy's a heavy hitter. He makes you feel it when you run the football. But I think the one that's going to set the tone and give Torrey a chance to eat is going to be Ruben.
Yeah, let's not discount the emotion of this game and who's going to have the emotional edge, because this is a rivalry game. We did have a week off. They're coming off that double OT loss, so their emotions going to be very high. Look for them to come out from the gate ready to go. But like you said, that running game and this defensive line, I think it's just going to wear them down, and it'll get bad. It'll get bad during the game. So.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Predictions. Oh, sorry, Q. You wanted to piggyback on it?
Just real quick, man. Just to piggyback off that. Yeah, I think one of the things I love about where Miami's at this point is the fact that they have played in big games already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, the Notre Dame game, obviously, game 1, right? National televised game. They go out and win that game.
Set the tone.
Exactly, the Florida game, right? So, having played big games already, right? Nothing new. The only thing that's going to be new for this particular game on Saturday is going to be they're on the road, right? But again, what I've touched on previously is that they're loaded with adults across all the position groups. When you look at Beck, adult. When you look at CJ Daniels, Tony Johnson, Keelan Marion at receiver, adults. The O-line, those guys, right? All the starts between them, and all those guys are upperclassmen at this point, right? Mark Fletcher, an adult. When you look at defense, Mo Torre, Jacoby Thomas, Keontae Scott, right? Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, adults, right? And so what a really good mixture of upperclassmen, young guys, but those guys, the adults on that team kind of lead the way. And I feel like they're going to come into that game. They're not going to be fazed by it. When you look at, again, where these guys came from, especially on defense, right? Keontae Scott's played in the SEC. Again, Mo Toure is the guy's like 33 years old at this point. You're looking at Jacoby Thomas, right? Came from Tennessee, and so, again, man, just kind of all across the board, man, I think there's a really good mixture of experience and young guys. I don't think they're going to be, taken back by the atmosphere. I don't think they're going to be intimidated by the team on the other side or by the moment. I just think they're set up really well when you look at the line of scrimmage. Again, people have talked about it, and I'll piggyback off that. The 4 things you need: O-line, D-line, quarterback, cornerback. They're set up really well across those 4 position groups. And I just see them handling Florida State. I think once you get past the emotions, those only take you so far in a big game. Mm-hmm. Whoever handles that the best, whoever settles down, runs the ball, makes plays, wins the game, and I think that'll be Miami.
Yeah, good job, Q. Let's do predictions. Starting first with Adrian. How do you think the game is going to end up?
30-13. I don't think it's going to be. Yeah. They ain't seen no defense like this yet. They've been, scoring 50. What were they averaging? Like 50 points a game almost?
I'll tell you right now.
It's almost 50 points.
Yeah, 55, 60 points, something like that.
They are averaging 53 points a game.
Yeah. Again, Kent State, East Texas A&M. That won't be happening on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah. I think D-line is the most important thing in this game, and they're gonna shut them down. So 30-13.
30-13. Q, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in that same I guess same general area. I'm thinking something like 34-20, somewhere in that range is what I'm thinking.
I got 10 points, about 31-21. I think that it's a rivalry game. Florida State is, coming off a very tough loss. I think they're going to be, ready, and they're going to, basically pull some tricks to get into the end zone a couple times. Yeah. But I do think that Miami.
I expect to see them, a couple flea flickers and some,
a lot of reverses,
some reverses, some misdirection type stuff.
I don't know if you want to try a flea flicker on this defensive line.
No, listen, I hope they do. I hope I hope they try it and it's a pick six, right? You go right ahead. But I just think, that's, trick plays and stuff like that are kind of an equalizer, right? When you're not the better team, I think you tend to pull those things out. And I'm sure Gus Malzahn has been saving some stuff just for Miami on Saturday. So, if I were Heatherman, I would. To me, I feel like that's on their radar. I don't feel like they're going to get caught, with their pants down or get, be surprised by anything they pull out. But I think he's going to be. I think that defense is going to be ready for some trick plays and just some stuff to kind of, help them, even the playing field.
Show us how desperate you are, FSU.
Yeah,
because they can't lose this. They can't lose this game.
No, they can't.
About it.
No, they cannot. They cannot.
They're in trouble if they lose this one.
Yeah, definitely. No, especially if they want to go to ACC, if they want to go to Charlotte. But my thing is, I think Miami's going to wear on them in the fourth quarter, similar to what happened with Florida, that they just gassed them out because Miami just leaned on them. I think you're going to see the same thing from this offensive line. It's going to be half the fourth quarter is going to be Mark Fletcher, Marty Brown, and now Jordan Lau, by the way. Jordan Lau is predicted to play this game, as is JoJo Trader. We thought he was going to play against Florida, but Mario said he wasn't healthy enough, so they were saving him for the bye week and to take on Florida State. So that's
game for JoJo.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so.
Man, I would love to see it, bro. I would love to see it.
I'll be honest, guys. I think if he plays, you're going to have some rust. Okay, I just think that the last time he took some snaps was against Notre Dame. But I do think if he gets open, he's gonna be a problem. Every single time he's had an opportunity last season, he was a problem. So I think that if he does find a way to get open, he's gonna be a problem. So I expect JoJo if he gets open, he's gonna be dangerous. But we're in a position right now, going back to Q's thing about depth, we're in a position right now that you can get a guy like JoJo traded at 4 games off, okay, as well, and you don't miss a beat because you got Keelan Marion, you got Tony Johnson as well, you got Joshua Moore, who's proven that he's a pretty good player as well. So that's where I think we're in very good position as Miami Hurricanes fans and the team as well.
Yeah, I think with this offense, right? You showed Shannon Dawson has showed that the open guy gets the ball. They don't really force feed anybody. When you looked at, last year and the numbers that those guys put up, right? I mean, obviously X, because I mean he excelled in getting open. He wasn't a burner, but he got open and within the offense and everything. And obviously Cam Ward found him. But you looked around, Jacoby George, made plays. Horton, while he was there, made plays. Sam Brown made a few plays. Elijah Arroyo made plays. And so, this is a type of offense that isn't predicated on just one dude, right? So you fast forward now to this year, the guy who you expected really, to be your wide receiver one, which is JoJo Trader, really hasn't contributed anything this year. And, you're looking at him now and just kind of adding him, to the rotation. And they've already said, I think it was Shannon Dawson, I think is the one that said, he's like, it's up to them to make plays when they get a chance, right? And so, the good thing is you don't necessarily, they've shown this year, you don't necessarily, have to depend on a guy like JoJo Trader. Now, would it be nice to? Yeah, 100%, right? Because if you're looking at, you're trotting out, 3 wide receiver set with, JoJo Trader, CJ Daniels, and Malachi Tony, I like my chances. Like that's a deadly combination. That's a hell of a trio right there. Let's see let's see your cornerback 3 line up against Miami's wide receiver 3 and see who wins that matchup, right?
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. And so, when you look at what he adds to the room, you got to love it, right? Because again, he's a guy who expected to be wide receiver 1, who hasn't really contributed, and they've still been really good. You add to that Jordan Lyle to the running back room, right? People expected him to be RB1, for the most part, right? Kind of equal share, equal touches, in the running back room, but really people expected him to take that next step, and he really hasn't. And what's happened? Nothing, because Marty Brown has been really good. Jordan, Mark Fletcher has been really good. And so, again, man, you can only go up, from what you've done so far when you add those guys to the mix. So listen, man, with those guys coming back and what they've done already, what they have already, again, I think Florida State has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gentlemen, we've reached an hour, man. It's always fun talking to both of you on this show. Q, as always, a pleasure.
Sure.
Q, let us know where we can find you, and let us know
for an hour.
Okay, you're on for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Would have been 50 if it wasn't for those doggone lights.
Go, bro.
Got to get to it. All right. Well, okay, Q, thank you for your hour. Adrian, thank you for your 40. 40 minutes. But again, always fun, brothers. Always fun, man. Always fun. Q, let us know the drill, man. There's where we can find you when you got a next upcoming episode.
You can find me and my guy Russ Morgan on the College Blitz podcast on FTSN Extra. So, do me a huge favor. Find us on there, like and subscribe. On my end, on the solo side of things, on the I Hate Football podcast, I haven't been doing, a whole bunch just because I've been getting together, again, with you and obviously, with Russ and everything like that. So kind of been, I like getting together with other people, man. That I kind of enjoy it more when when that's the case. So,
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, man. To me, it's always more fun.
Just invite.
Yeah, that's
people,
it.
Bro.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm about to start doing, man. I'm gonna start kind of getting, more, just busier on my end, and start inviting both of you guys on and get everybody else on, from the networks and do some stuff. But yeah, man, I'll let you guys know when I put something out. But definitely for sure. Follow me on I Hate Football podcast on YouTube, Hate Football Pod on X, and College Blitz on YouTube. So, like and subscribe if you guys can. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Q. Thank you, Q. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to subscribe to I Hate Football podcast on YouTube, man. It's great stuff. And College Blitz as well, man. Him and Russ do a great job. Like I mentioned, Russ is a baseball brain, man, but he holds his own in football as well, man. Gotta give the guy some credit.
My guy.
Even though he's a Jets fan, gotta give him a little bit of credit.
Just listen to him for 5. Listen to you guys for 5 minutes. You're hooked already. That's it. That's all people gotta do. Listen for 5 minutes. Listen to a minute and a half. You'll be right there. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button.
Appreciate it.
Adrian, you got anything going on?
Yeah. So I was supposed to do a show with a Panthers fan, and the Panthers fan pretty much told me that the Panthers don't deserve his time. So I'm going to be too raw for SmackDown on Saturday, and then we'll be talking Dolphins either Monday or Tuesday, after this game against Carolina. Should be a fun one. For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But
definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
How y'all feel about that game?
With Carolina, I think the Dolphins should win that game, even without Tyreek. Unfortunately. They should win that football game. I would be surprised if they actually lose that game. I think the
Is that
Dolphins should
one
be 2-3.
Is it home or in Charlotte? Where's that one at?
It's in Charlotte.
It's in Charlotte. Yeah, they played last time. They played here.
Dude,
So.
I don't know, like, Carolina. I mean, they shut out Atlanta.
30 to nothing.
They shut out Atlanta.
Boy.
A couple.
Yeah, but
it
looks so bad against the Patriots.
Yeah,
Our defense looks so bad against everybody.
Up and down, yeah, man. It's the up and down of that team, man.
And the Dolphins should have beaten the Patriots, so that was a tough loss for Miami.
Yeah,
so,
you know what's crazy about Carolina is they played good their first game against who was it? Arizona, and then they played a bad game, and then they played really good against Atlanta, the 30-0 game. And then they got whooped by the Patriots.
Yeah, they're a hard team to figure out, man.
Exactly. I said, you don't know what you're gonna get with them. So
their defense is decent. Their defense is pretty good, man. And they got a couple pieces on offense, man. They just, you need the consistency. Bryce Young still to me he ain't it. But yeah, you got Ted McMillan, right? You got Chuba
our
Hubbard.
defense is cropped though. Our defense is cropped.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how they match up, brother. We'll see how they match up.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
That could go one way. That could go either way, man.
But I do predict Miami to win that game. I don't think they should. I personally think they should lose that game. I really don't. The Dolphins should technically, honestly, be at least a 500 team, or at least maybe 3-2 or something like that, or whatever it is the schedule is. But because they should have beaten the Patriots, and of course they slaughtered the Jets. So as well, and they came and if Twitter doesn't mess up, they could have beaten the Bills because they caught the Bills and basically sleeping on the wheel a couple times, in that game. So
they could have won that game.
Yeah, they could have won that game. So we'll see. Of course, guys, don't forget to also subscribe, to the Rainy Day Pod by Adrian. Adrian covers everything, so it's a little bit like this format as well. 305 Sports now. The guy even covers wrestling
next week.
Oh, we gotta get something, man. We gotta do a little Florida Cats Dirty Rats, man. You gotta do that. You gotta do a Florida Cats Dirty Rats, man, for sure. I'm interviewing an MMA fighter next week. His dad reached out to me as a fight coming in. Yeah, Christian Escalin, the glorious one. So we'll work something out where we can do our show for the upcoming game, or maybe a recap of the first game. However we do it, Adrian. How's that sound?
Yeah. Game 1 is not Tuesday. It's the 8th, I believe.
The 8th.
7th. I think it's the 7th, no? October 7th?
The 7th, yeah.
7th?
That
is that's Tuesday. I'm interviewing the kid.
I think opening day for them is the 7th.
Okay, so we can
it's
we
Tuesday.
could probably do the 8th if you want. I could get something going.
All right.
And I'll invite Evan to come on the show as well, the resident hockey fan as well. So we'll see how that goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just a few announcements for me. Okay, as I just mentioned, I will be interviewing Christian Escalin next week. I gotta work out the time details with him. He's an up and coming MMA fighter as well. He's been on the show a couple times. Used to fight for 305 Fights, so he'll be coming on the show as well. Q and I will work on a schedule for next week to do another segment of Our Take. I'll be contacting a very popular guest on the show to join us as well. I might even have two as well. So I gotta make the contacts, man. Gotta make the contacts, okay? Yeah. So yeah, and another announcement is after the Florida State game, I will be unveiling the new logo of 305 Sports Now. Yes, I am changing the logo.
Rebrand.
A little slight rebrand of 305 Sports Now. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, 305 Sports Now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the Rainy Day Pod, and also I Hate Football. For myself, Q, and Adrian Rainey, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the guests. Really appreciate you guys. Go Canes, beat FSU. God bless. See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.